So this is a perfect one that does kind of cross all the different exams. We hear a lot folks saying that they find themselves where they're struggling to pick between two answers. Gee, they sure sound alike, um, and they're not really sure. They're not really sure what to do when they have those two answers. And I'm going to start with you here. When you're struggling to pick between two answers, what's your best strategy for picking the right answer?
Um, this was the one question in the lineup that I struggled with. Oddly enough, I always just go with my gut and answer what is first. I just use my intuition, and then I go back and I would go through the questions through these different rounds, where my first round would be the no-brainers, the second round would be I have, across the spectrum, the last round being, I have no idea about any of these, so I'm just gonna pick.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. I don't have necessarily a strategy
Mm-hmm.
or a guide.
Okay. Ivan, how about you?
My strategy with test taking is to know the rules. This isn't the LSAT, where you get penalized for answering the wrong thing, and your exam gets progressively easier or harder depending on how well you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ARE. So if there's some sort of ambiguous choice, first thing I do is if it's not a quantitative question, it's qualitative, lean on my experience, like what things, if you're younger and taking the exam, what have I heard around the office? What are the old guys saying around me? And, usually that'll get you by. And then if all else fails, like never leave it out, take a stab at it, because you're not going to get penalized. So just pick something.
All right. I think that's good. Stephanie, how about you?
Yeah, this was something I really focused on studying. So I had the practice question and answer booklets specific to each test that I used while studying. And I would go through those and, even in the practice, I'd come across, gosh, is it A or is it D? Mm-hmm. And so I would just kind of flag that. And when I would go through and check the answers, if it was D and I was kind of going between A and D, I would really try to understand, why did I think it was the other one, and how should I know, that it should have been D, and really understand that answer. So this was, for me, one of the focus parts for studying, because I knew that when you're in that testing center, you see the time clock ticking down. You can't really sit there and think it through, like you have to keep moving. So flagging it in the test center and then just studying through that was sort of my strategy.
Okay. So just to say that back to you, make sure I'm understanding it. Yeah. Well, hold on one moment, if I may, just because I'm understanding. So you would flag it, meaning that you wouldn't answer it. You'd wait, or you would answer it, and then you would come back after you flagged it to review it one more time.
Yeah, I would go ahead and answer it, like Anne said, with that initial gut feeling. And then if there was time at the end in the testing center, I would come back and check it. But also during my studying, I would flag it. That way, when I could check the answer, I could see, did I check that right with the initial gut check, or did I go back and forth too many times?
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Ivan, you had a comment there.
Yeah, I think that's like a really cool strategy. It's similar to what I did. Actually, like in the multiple choice sections for all my exams, I just kind of went through it one good time, like ignoring like the clock and everything, and just like bang them out as many as you can and flag for later everything else. Because what I found was that sometimes they screw up and they give you the answer later. So it might be like number 85 and it's related. And you're like, oh my God, let me go back. And then you kind of who knows if I got them right or not, but I definitely know that sometimes the answer was like later in the exam in a related question. So just kind of keep your eye out for those, and flagging things is a really good strategy, especially if you just get the ones that you know out of the way. Then you have time to check the rest later.
That's really good. And yeah, you're right. I liked what you said earlier about, you don't you don't gain anything by not answering a question. So you definitely at least want to make sure you answer and to at least take a guess on everything, for sure. Jason, what's your strategy here for selecting the best of two similar answers?
Yeah, definitely the same as Stephanie. Definitely flagged it and took my best guess, flagged it, and came back to it later. I definitely agree with Ivan. I would always run into instances on each of the exams where they either intentionally or mistakenly gave me the answer for 20 questions later on. So I would always go back and find that I can accurately, I don't know for sure, but accurately answer those questions that I was doubtful on.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is good. Sometimes the later questions have answers to previous ones. All right, beautiful.